I think you're so right. What you just said now about how everyone has a tough 30s to 40s. I think it's really interesting when you're going in your 20s to 30s, you have a really high expectation and then you kind of get brought down to reality. I think everyone has a tougher 20s than they imagined. You're having
the pressure.
The pressure of what it should be, the pressure of starting work, the pressure of a relationship.
But you put these kids in college and they're supposed to, what is your major? What is your minor? And then if you go awry from that when you graduate, it's like, then what did I pay for? But how many times have you changed your mind about something in life? Right. And so have I. So yes, I believe in college. I believe in that if that's the right step for you. But I also think people need to know how okay it is to not necessarily know what you want to do when you're 20 years old.
Absolutely. Such great advice. I mean, I look at it, in my 20s, I first became a monk. I then left and worked in consulting. I then left and did media. And then since then, I've done video content, podcasts, wrote books, just things that I would never have imagined. If someone told me at 18, Jay, this is what your life's going to look like, I wouldn't have believed them.
Yeah.
And I think something you said that was really important, that when you get into your 30s, there's almost like this grounding effect as well, where you start to ask yourself, what do I really want in life? As you get into your 40s, you're almost living that of like, what's really important? What really is my priority? Am I clear about what I want? Whereas in your 20s, you don't know. And how could you?
You don't know. And you also have that arrogance in your 20s that no one can tell you anything. But people have to go through that. Like, I get it. And I also get now when adults were like, they sort of roll their eyes at somebody in their 20s. And it's rare that most people in that age are so definitive at what they want to do. And if they are, great. And that is just this old soulness in them, I would say. But also when I've only been in my 40s for a few months, but it's crazy how quickly that you're sort of like, you feel so solid in who you are, or the things that maybe made you insecure or doubt yourself, you sort of just let it go.
Wow.
And I don't know what that switch exactly is. I just know that it's that grounding term that you said. You feel so solid within yourself and you're like, it's okay. And I know life is going to work out. I know everything is going to come how I envision it because I have that drive and desire to. But I've stopped limiting myself to it had to be done before I turned 40.
Yeah.
When I was younger, society definitely put on me, or not just me, I think a lot of people, but now life expectancy is longer. I think we prioritize our health from within so much more. And people realize, okay, it's not all about just having babies and getting married by the time you're 23 and then just coasting the rest or figuring it out. Now it's like, let's figure out what we really want at our core.
Yeah.
And then the rest will sort of unfold.
Yeah. What would you say? Because I feel like we have such an amazing community of young women and women who listen to this show. And so many of them I know are thinking, gee, I'm 30 years old. I'm not married. There's so much pressure. I'm not in a serious relationship. What words of advice, wisdom, insight, or lessons would you share with them in that period of their life where the societal pressure, the parental pressure, the personal pressure, the pressure of what's happening all around them on Instagram, TikTok, social media? How should they think about navigating that?
Number one, it's something I had to learn myself, is comparison is the thief of joy. It takes everything out of anything that you're doing if you're constantly comparing what you're doing to somebody else, because somebody else is only showing you their highlight reel anyway. We have to remember that what we're doing is probably someone's looking at us and they're like, damn, that's an amazing highlight reel. Like, I want that. But we're so conditioned now to constantly want more and more and never be satisfied. That makes me sad for my kids. And I always try. I have so many nieces and nephews, and 3 of them are the exact same age. It's my daughter and Kylie's daughter and Kim's daughter. And sometimes that's challenging because they each want the same thing all the time. And I sort of like that because I like to say, like, not just because someone has that doesn't mean you get to have that. And those are smaller lessons, but you learn that later in life so much bigger. Mm-hmm. And you can be inspired by others or motivated by others. But the jealousy or the comparison is something that we or I have had to even retrain my brain to not always look at someone and be like, well, why don't I have that? Or how can I get, like, it should be more from a motivational way as opposed to an envious way. But I also think, do you want to be married and have kids because that's what you were taught as a kid that you're supposed to do? Do you want that and a career? And which one do you want to have come first? And do you not want a career? And do you just want to be a mother? Like those, whatever the answer is all okay because it's your life. But sometimes I think that we live a life so much for other people and we forget to check in with ourselves. And it's okay if you had a desire in your 20s and now you're in your 30s and you're like, wait, I actually don't want that anymore. And I changed my direction. And it's okay to admit that to yourself.